Good evening, iRacers. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and our coverage of the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. We are here at Sebring International this week. I'm Lee Thompson, joining you tonight along with Sam Kumo, working double duty on cameras and commentary. How are you doing this evening, Samuli? Looking forward to a fun night of racing, hopefully.
Hey Lee, yeah, I think this one should be more along the lines as last week at Silverstone. We got a track with plenty of straights, and I think we saw with this car you really need the straights to make the moves. I think maybe this difference in that it's very bumpy, so maybe we will see some surprises here, because it's the kind of track where you will find that some drivers really just find the pace here, find where the grip is, and some others will be struggling a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how the guys manage to get on. I mean, so these single-seaters around a bumpy, tricky place like Sebring, it isn't necessarily the circuit that I would fancy jumping on around, but it's got a couple of opportunities for them to stretch their legs, a good couple of opportunities to make some moves. We've got the long back straight, of course, going then into the heavy braking zone at the back of the circuit. That will give these guys plenty of opportunity to get in the slipstream and make some moves, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm
so
just
we've got
looking who do we have on the lap right now. Looks like pretty much everyone is wrapping up their qualify. Currently Tom Dillman on the pole, and Oric second, Ferroni third. Let's see what the gaps are. Yeah, Dillman really hitting the lap times here. Half a second ahead of Moric, but then it's much more closer after that.
Yeah, just say for sure it's looking like it's going to get closer and closer as we go through the session, as we watch the guys struggling to get the power on out of a couple of the slower corners as well. Gorgeous sunset view that we've got here today at Sebring as well. As the qualifying is coming towards the end, we've got time maybe to have a little look at the championship standings and then check in on those final starting positions. So we can see Jose Langer is currently leading with 752 points in the championship, only with 8-point lead over Tim Delisle. I believe last week when we checked in, I think that Tim Delisle was in the lead. So I think, unless I'm mistaken, yeah, Langer's overhauled him during the week. Then we can see a little bit of a gap then back to Herbano, to Moric, to Siegman, Spilia, Macias, Aha, Petitja, and in 10th position, Edward Samborski. But yeah, it's looking very, very tight for those top two positions, Samuli.
Yeah, I think the one person to look out for in this list is Lubomir Moric, because out of the top 4 or top 5 even, no sorry, top 4, is he the only person who is here, because I don't see Lange or Delisle. Do you see them?
No, you're absolutely right. So that is an interesting one. Looks like we've got a pretty strong strength of field though still. So you think there's going to be big points up for grabs for Moric, like you say. But yeah, none of the rest of the top guys there. Yeah, strength of field average for the session of 4.2k. So strong enough for sure. And so yeah, interesting. We'll see how much Moric can capitalize. He's got front row, but he has not quite been able to take that pole position. So yeah, Tom Dillman did hold on to that pole position by a massive half a second over the rest of the field. Then we got Lubomir Moric in second, as we say, Francesco Fioroni in third, Rob Bohr in fourth. Just a couple of 10th gap then back to Fabian Siegman in fifth, with Stefan Herman in sixth. Paul Lilbrink then in seventh, with Omar Bahar in eighth. Ronaldo Augusto in ninth, with Jerry Colgren in 10th. Edward Samborski in 11th, with Daniel Berenson in 12th. So reasonable spread between the field, 1.3 seconds back to 12th. And Erka Lindström in 13th, with Hone Aishanen in 14th. Alessandro Roccatello, what a great Italian name we got there, in 15th. Thomas Knoll back in 16th, with Victor Moran in 17th. And Rafael Bonifacio in 18th position. So yeah, 18 runners here today. Looks like pretty much everyone is on the grid, waiting for maybe just the last one or two cars to arrive. And I can hear the revs starting to build now as the lights are getting ready to go green for this race of the evening around Sebring. And what a great start from second position, for Moric. He's got the lead already, but he's going to be on the outside now for turn 1. So can Dillman hold on to that inside line, or is Moric going to sweep around the outside? No, Moric has to back out of it ever so slightly and still runs wide. Contact in the back as well.
Major contact.
Big accident back there. Caught that well on the cameras. 4 cars out and at least 1 other damaged for sure.
Yeah,
so
that
that's
is
Herman, Noel and Kojanen all caught up in that.
Yeah, Kajanen as well as Jerry Kargren as well.
So yeah, and there's another car in the barriers just further on there as well. But back at the front, we can see that Dillman has got the lead, but Moric actually lost out after running wide on the exit of turn one there, it seems. So Rob Bohr now up into second with Moric down into third, and the front 2 are just trying to break away a little bit. 2-second gap over the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's right. Moric ran wide on the turn 1 exit and just had to back off to keep control of the car, and that allowed Bohr to make the move there. Also, I got info from the YouTube chat that Tom Dillman has he is racing this series in real life. And apparently
awesome.
as a race winner as well in 2016.
Okay, well, it'd be great if we get the opportunity to have a chat with Tom at the end of the session. But yeah, for sure, it looks like he's putting that experience into place at the minute. And what a great yardstick for the rest of the field to try and work to. I think a lot of them are going to struggle to keep up, but maybe Bohr and Moric may be able to give him a little bit of a run for his money. So we'll wait and see. Siegman making a move on... No, Ilbrink, making a move on Siegman as they go around this really tricky final corner. And Siegman about to lose another position to Fiorani in the Italian colours back there as well. Is he going to be able to use that slipstream into turn 1? He's not. It's very, very different lines for all 3 cars there as they go through turn 1. Oh, Fiorani all over the back of Siegman there. Looks to the outside. He's going to struggle to make a move into turn 2 there. And yes, Siegman holds on.
Yeah, but Siegman is not out of it yet because Fiorani is very close here. And we count perhaps the best overtaking spot in this track. The very slow hairpin. But Fiorani is... Siegman gets loose on the entry.
Yeah, that rear looked particularly uncomfortable there. He did well to keep it all together and still make the corner pretty cleanly. And we can see this field's just been split up a little bit from that instant early on. So the top 10 cars we can see at the front of the top of the map there. And then P11 back to 15th, trying to bridge that gap back to the rest of the field. See our top 10 at the minute, and then Dillman, Bohr, Moric, Ilbrink, Siegman, Fiorani and 6th for Gosto, Ernson, Bahar and Samborski rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at the second group here, and this is really the guys that got into trouble on the first lap. Led by Morjon, Kaitanen, Noll and Rocatello. So far we have only one... Oh, as I was saying, Kargren actually continues, so every single car that the start race is still on the track. Okay, that's great to see. Hopefully these guys are going to be able to get involved during the rest of the race. You can see we've got 22 laps of the race tonight, so they've got a little bit of time out there as Rob Bohr puts in a lap 10th and a half quicker than Dillman that time by, so he's certainly hanging in that position just a whisper out of real draft and tow range at the minute, I feel. But yeah, Dillman and Bohr still just trying to pull a little bit of a gap over Moric, who is 2 seconds back still. Also, more good info from Craig05 from YouTube chat. Dillman has apparently done GP2, Formula 3.5, Super Formula, LMP and maybe possibly even Formula E.
Wow, a lot of experience out there today then for Dillman, but as I say, Rob Bohr is not letting him escape for now. So yeah, Rob gaining 2 positions off his start, so he is looking like he's feeling pretty comfortable here at Sebring. So it's a great view out there with the sunset looking overhead on the circuit. A little bit of an issue back for Bonifacio, I think, in 15th. The slowdown for Bohr? Oh, Rob Bohr was singing his praises. He's under pressure now from Moric as he tries to clear that slowdown. Moric tries to go down the inside. Bohr tries to give him space, but ends up having to run out wide and loses another position as well, down into 4th place. Would he have got another slowdown as well? Coming through. Yeah, another slowdown. As he went wide, it became the inside of the following corner, of course. Now he's trying desperately to defend from Fiorani, and it's going to be very, very messy. 3 wide Samuli as they go into the final corner. Oof, Bohr just about looking like it's going to come ahead for now. Fiorani ahead of Siegman, and Bohr just about is going to manage to recover that. What kind of drive does Fiorani get off that final corner? A good one is the answer. He goes to the inside. Bohr's going to have to hold that outside line on this tricky first corner, but he backs out of it and allows Fiorani through. What a terrible lap for Rob Bohr that time by.
Yeah, multiple places lost there. Fortunately, he didn't fall too far back, and the last corner is wide enough to go 3 wide, so no major issues there. But he really has to now start all over again and make the moves.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Like I say, it looked like Bohr was going to be shaping up to give Dillman a good run for his money, but Dillman has got a very comfortable gap now to the to Moric in second. Last time by as well. Fastest lap for Tom Dillman. A full 2.5 seconds quicker than Moric, with Moric just battling with Bohr on that time by. So yeah, 4.5 second gap back to second position. Paul Littlebrink looking very healthy. Sorry, Samuli in third.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about from Moric's point of view, this will be the highest point paying race of the week. So even if he finishes second, this is great for his championship, regardless.
Yeah, not so good for Bohr's championship on this one, losing those 3 positions at lap ago. So is he going to be able to get back ahead of Fiorani, as Fiorani takes a very strange line going down the back of the circuit, trying to not give the toe to Bohr behind. Yeah, so Bohr obviously could get past Fiorani. How much further then has he got to go to Ilbrink ahead? He's got nearly 3 seconds to recover to a podium position, so that looks like that's going to be a little bit of a tricky task for Bohr, but his focus for now is going to be that 4th position of Fiorani. But he's not all over the back of him, considering we could see that he was fastest car on track just a couple of laps ago.
Mm-hmm. And just as the battle is heating up, also Sam Fitzpatrick joined us for this race.
Yes. Welcome, Sam. How were the V8s?
It was very good. If of course, if anyone wasn't watching, watch back at it. Of course, after this race, but watch back the second race of the evening, because it was extremely entertaining, as I'm sure this race will be. I mean, I saw Tom Dillman in the race, and I'm thinking, God, got to get a piece of that action. Of course, very experienced real-life driver, so yeah, fantastic to see him out here. Of course, always fantastic racing in this Formula 3.5 car, especially around this Sebring circuit. Quite a unique combination, but one that should work well.
Yeah, absolutely. We were chatting about Dillman a minute ago. YouTube chat unfortunately had to inform me and Samuli of his notoriety, but we're glad that Apex Racing TV as a whole, at least are somewhat on the ball with some of our commentators. But yeah, on board at the minute with Ilbrink challenging Moric for that 2nd position. Just a minute ago, Rob Bohr dropped from 2nd, challenging for the lead, almost down to 5th. So he's going to be looking to try and recover through the rest of the race.
Yeah, it should be nice and quick. Should Bourne at car number 6, so one of the higher I-rated drivers in this field. Paul Ilbrink also chasing down the driver ahead currently of Moric. 4 places gained for Ilbrink. Wide turn 1 here, quite possible to go for an overtake. Very difficult to defend just because you've got so much space to cover. Also going into turn 2, Ilbrink thinks about it. Can't afford to battle too much, these two, otherwise they'll get the other drivers of Fiorini and co involved. Also, yeah, fantastic to see. Sorry, I was just about to say. Unfortunately, this race is in the morning, not the evening. Otherwise, we'd have sunset bend with the sun going down. It would look pretty cool. But it's the other side of the circuit.
Oh, well, it certainly confused me because I've been describing it as sunset a couple of times already. So, so that's good that we had that clarification. But Ilbrink looking to make a move on Moric for that 2nd position, side by side as they come through the back of the circuit. Who is going to be latest and bravest on the brakes? Moric is trying to hang around the outside, but yeah, Ilbrink makes a nice clean move. Paul Ilbrink, of course, bags and bags of experience in the World Championship over the years in iRacing, and Moric now all over the back of the gearbox. Got a great camera shot as they come through the corner there, looking back at that Formula 3.5 car.
Did you ever race Paul Ilbrink in the World Championship?
That is a very good question. I believe I did a couple of times, yes. I wouldn't like to say I raced with him, but I certainly raced on the circuit at the same time as him a few times for sure. We can see Fiorani in the background weaving to try and break that toe from Rob Bohr again. But yeah, when I think of Paul Ilbrink, I think of him battling with Alex Simpson. I believe he had a good couple of seasons where it just seemed to be on the same piece of tarmac at all times.
Yeah, I think they were in the same. They were both qualified for the World Championship for like 5 years straight, and then on like the last year together, they didn't fight each other for like ages, and then on the last year they just constantly fought against each other every single race. And also in the World GT Championship, I think, because they had a pretty good rivalry on there as well. So yeah, very good to see that. Yeah, but he's up 5 places now. I mean, a good racing or maybe a slightly poorer qualifying for Ilbrink. I'm sure he wouldn't have been best pleased with his qualifying lap, but he's certainly making up for it. Is 7 seconds behind the race leader though, as we see side by side between Siegman and Samborski. Oh, sorry, Siegman and Berenson, with Samborski just behind. So Berenson gets ahead. He's up 6th place as well. So a couple of big gainers out here. Left himself a little bit vulnerable for this next corner. You arguably want to be on the outside though, because you can carry a lot of speed, then have the inside for the next corner. But of course, then you have the outside for the following corner, and he doesn't even need that because gets ahead of Siegman as off the circuit goes Berenson, and after having all the momentum in his side, gaining his 6th place in this race, he drops 1 place and then he drops a whole lot more.
Yeah, unceremoniously removed from the race session by the car behind on this one. Berenson just gets a big whack out of absolutely nowhere, and lucky to keep it out of the barrier. So we'll see how much damage he has to struggle with for the rest of the race there. But yeah, that was, well, a lot of damage from looks like he's struggling to get around the circuit. So yeah, real shame for Berenson there. He was making good progress. It certainly let Siegman off the hook for that position for now. He's been just dropping back a little bit through the race so far. But now he's going to be having a little bit of a buffer to Edward Samborski, who I guess it was that made the contact actually. So back at the front, Paul Ilbrink still got a little bit of space over Moric, so just half a second or so. But then, of course, Tom Dillman is still 7.5 to 8 seconds down the road. Looking much closer back here, though. Battling for 8th and 9th position is Baja and Augusto. They've been to and fro for the last couple of laps quite nicely. Augusto last time by nearly half a second quicker.
Yes, he's certainly, looking like the bust for one of these two drivers. Only 2/10 slower than the man in 2nd place, actually, on that last lap was Augusto. I think I made this point at Silverstone last week, but all these drivers are really close. Unfortunately, they get a little bit spread out in the early stages just because they get involved in their own battles, maybe get a little bit of contact, and the field can spread out in the first couple of laps. But in terms of pure pace, there's really not a whole lot between maybe 2nd place and about 15th place out of these drivers. Baja are going to be under pressure down into this next corner. These two started where they are right now. Difficult to go for a move into that quick right-hander. Not much of a braking point and really easy to make contact. Also a little bit difficult to spot your turning in zone as well. So much the case for a lot of these corners around this Sebring circuit. A unique circuit, no doubt. But certainly very tricky, difficult to go down the inside here as well. Because if the driver ahead turns in, then you're very much heading into a concrete wall. And difficult to manage the bumps as well around Sunset Bend. By the way, on the topic of Tom Dillman, when he did join in 2012. However, he did 2 races between 2014 and 2019. So 2 races over the course of 5 years.
Well, two official races anyway. Who knows how many league races, I guess. But yeah, interesting.
And then in 2019, he's done 135. So
oh wow!
Okay,
well maybe that's more clear cut than I wondered initially. Great to see that he's really gotten into it this year then.
Yeah, and he racing the Le Mans series a little bit, also the Formula Sprints, which I think is a fun series. I'm not quite sure, but racing a lot more. Of course, Formula E is down for the moment. It's until November, so got to find something to do, I imagine. He also might have a WEC drive. I'm not quite sure, to be fair, but yeah, certainly Formula E, I think, is his main pursuit at the moment.
Yeah, well, looks like he needs to not maybe reveal to his team quite how many races he's been doing this season. Otherwise, they may be questioning where his priorities are. But we are absolutely glad to see him here running hard. Change of position for Morgan and Augusto as the cameras beautifully changed the time. Just like Augusto has had an issue of some description. He was going a little bit slowly there. And on replay, we are about to see exactly what his problem was. Under braking into the right-hander. Looks pretty clean for now, but just loses it under power. Just about keeps it out of the wall, so fortunate for not getting any damage. But yeah, just losing the left rear, I think, on the dirt on the exit of the curb.
Yeah, one of the most common mistakes on this circuit, certainly just running a little bit. Well, I think that may have been the issue for Moritz earlier on as well. I think I was watching it earlier on, or maybe it was Bohr, who kind of maybe just dipped a wheel onto the dirt as well around that corner. Really easy to do. Also, I think when we visited the Le Mans series around this track, a lot of issues. Also, turn 1 can be problematic there. That's the issue with kind of having flat curves where pretty much the track limit is the grass. It's yeah, very easy to spin the car around.
That's what we want, isn't it? You know, these
Yes.
good classic circuits, you know, that's what the edge of the circuit is there for. It's supposed to be the limit of the track, and as long as it's safe in real life and people aren't going to hurt themselves, then yeah, we want the track to be the track, I think. Back here at the battle for fourth position, where in fact it's almost becoming a battle for second position now, isn't it? So Fiorani and Bohr have gradually clawed their way onto the back on Moritz and Ilbrink. So Ilbrink's got a little bit of space to Moritz, but for sure it's looking like a 4-car battle for the best of the rest on the podium. And with Dillman, of course, still 8.5 seconds or so down the road. How much further back is Samborski? So yeah, Samborski's 4.5 seconds or so further back again. So yeah, these 4 cars look like they are going to be the ones focusing on this podium battle.
Yeah,
Still
looks
got
like
still got 17 runners out there as well, I think, Sam. So not too bad just to have lost the one runner so far.
yeah, and all these drivers want to keep on going. It's not maybe like a league race we see where once you're a lap down, not being much point in continuing. All these drivers want to gain as much iRacing as possible because it's difficult to get it up. And certainly, if you retire from a race, you want to gain as many places as possible, but it can be quite difficult to gain back again. And going into, well, I think to be fair, Petit Le Mans is today, of course, and hopefully anyone who is watching this and parts of a team running in the Petit Le Mans, you know, let us know how you're doing. Hopefully you're doing very well in that race. So one of the trickiest challenges in all of sim racing, I'm sure, around the Road Atlanta circuits. Well, of course, yeah, you want to get your iRacing up so that you get into better splits into those special events. Of course, we haven't got any for a while, unfortunately. I think the next one is Daytona, but still worth getting it up plenty in advance.
Oh wow, that's a shame. Nothing from now till what, January then?
Yes.
Yeah, last I checked in, Evolution Racing Team, part of the Apex Racing family, were looking pretty strong at Petit in the top DP class. So hopefully their race is still going well. No doubt we'll be checking in with them once this broadcast is done. This battle's looking a little bit stationary for the minute. Moritz has just closed back in on Ilbrink a little bit though. I said it was Ilbrink that was looking like he was trying to break away, but that gap is down to 0.6 of a second. So yeah, Moritz with a strong lap, gained just over 0.3 last time by. And actually Fiorani gained on Moritz as well, so on the Ilbrink as well rather. So yeah, so these 3 cars at the front of the group looking like they're just going to Constantine us ever so slightly.
Yeah, maybe seeing what we saw in these first few rounds of the championship, where the turbulent air is just a bit of an effect. I don't think it's, you know, mind-boggling. It's not like modern Formula 1, for example, where you can't get within a second of the next car without losing about 20% of your downforce. But they're so evenly matched that just losing maybe 1/10 of a second, 2/10 of a second per lap once you get within a second can just be just hold back your. Right now, these drivers aren't making mistakes, so it's really difficult to get too much closer. Rob Ball, bit of a slower lap on that last time, 9/10 of a second slower than Lubomir Moric, who was the fastest man on track on that last lap. So he's not making too much of an impression. Then there's Samborski, of course, up 5 places from his starts. That he's going to be able to make too much of an impression. And mainly spread out so far are these guys. We've got a couple of battles which currently could come back. Berenson, after that bit of a crash earlier on, Berenson, so after that bit of a crash earlier on, he's coming back at Thomas Knoll currently. So he's down in 14th place, but I think we'll be moving up some places very soon. Fortunately, no damage on that car.
Yeah, did well to carry on, I think, had Berenson. It looked like perhaps he was going to suffer more chronic issues after we saw him then struggling around the rest of the lap. But yeah, good to see, as you say, his pace is looking pretty strong, and for sure, if he can keep up, he might gather a few more positions before the race is over. Lap 13 of 22 now. So have a quick look at the top 10 again. Tom Dillman still in the lead. Not pulling away any further now, so his lap times are fairly even with those guys behind. So yeah, nearly 8 seconds ahead, as you can see in the timing screen. Paul Ilbrink then in second with Moric in third, Fiorani in fourth with Rob Orr in fifth, Samborski sixth with Siegman in seventh, Bahar in eighth with Kajanen in ninth, and Ronaldo Augusto is in that 10th position, having lost just one spot from his starting grid. So it's looking like this battle is heating up now between Berenson and Knoll. Knoll in the classic Austrian colours, I think they're the blue and the yellow, as they work their way down into one of the heavier braking zones on the circuit. Knoll feels the need to defend, so Berenson's going to have the racing line a little bit cleaner as they come into the corner. Tricky entry here, taking a lot of curb on the inside as well. But Knoll gets a good drive off the exit, and Berenson's going to have to wait for a couple more corners.
Yeah, really easy to go in a little bit too deep into that hairpin and run yourself out, so it kind of tightens up on the exit. Really difficult this corner as well, at least I find. Really easy to kind of lose the rear end around that corner. The bumps as well around the circuit, just so tricky to deal with. I'm sure there's a bit of an extreme setup in terms of the springs around this place. And it could be a little bit of a compromise as well. We'll compromise some corners just so that you can deal with the bumps that bit better. Berenson closes constantly, but then, yeah, just not quite finding that confidence when he's really close. He's overtaken a lot of gyros so far. He was up 6 places at one point earlier on in this race. He's now down 2. So he doesn't know how to overtake, and seems to have really good straight line speed in that car. Berenson might look to the inside into Sunset Bend, but as long as he stays close around this next corner, he should have it quite easy going into turn 1. And yes, it's looking very good for him. Once again, dipping into the slipstreams, his pace increases about 270 kilometers an hour into turn 1, and that is very simple for him.
Yeah, nice clean move from Berenson there, just defending from Knoll, ready for the next corner as well. Knoll does throw it up the inside. I didn't expect him to. Doesn't quite pull off the move, but yeah, an opportunistic move for Knoll there. Berenson gave him the space. Nice little battle, but yeah, that initial overtake from Berenson, very clean, as you said. It was all set up in the final corner, wasn't it? We saw the wider entry that Berenson took into the final corner to allow him to really try and get the drive off the corner and be ready for turn 1, and it worked out very nicely indeed. He has got another second or so. Oh, I was going to say I was confused by the time screen there, because yeah, here we go. Roscello having a little bit of an issue somewhere on the lap then. So Berenson about to make a pass again, does so indeed, up another spot already, up to 12th position. What happened to Roccatello? So down into the hairpin, losing the rear on turn-in. Well, it's kind of a bit more sort of mid-corner. The rear stepped out, and then I think it's that sensitive tire mod a little bit again, was it? In the middle of the corner, the rear stepped out, maybe just overheated the tyres more than he expected, and on the power, and the car tries to come round. So yeah, unfortunate for Roccatello there, loses that one spot, and now he's right in the middle of the thick of things.
Yeah, and still with those tires potentially a little bit warm for them. They should cool down eventually. Well, still pretty early in the morning. There's 23, or certainly early as a student. I mean, 8 o'clock. Oh, that's an 8 o'clock in the morning? I did not know. 23 degrees track temperature. So not too warm. So I guess they will cool down quite quickly. good to see Tom Snow out there, a driver who we saw in the Apex Racing League 3.5 series it's been about a year ago, maybe 9 months ago, that series. And he very much stuck with it to the very end, so great to see him out there. Karjinen with a spin. He
Beautiful pirouette
didn't
to
lose
straighten up
any.
with.
Yeah, still in 9th place, so completely by himself, and he's still by himself.
Yeah, very nice recovery there from Karjinen. Looking back at the track map, we can see it's still pretty close between second, third, fourth, but no immediate moves looking like they'll be happening for the moment. Ilbrink still very, very consistent each time by, but it was a little bit slower last lap, dipping into the 43, so the only car of the top 6 in the 43s that time by. Whereas it looks like Dillman, conversely, has pulled the pin and is suddenly going 1.5 seconds quicker than, a second quicker than he was last time. So 41.8 on that last time by. He is looking pretty comfortable out there. Everyone else is looking pretty close to their lap times as well, to be fair. Lots of 43s out there, a couple of 44s towards the back of the field. But yeah, the first half of the field really all in the 142s, just leaving Dillman with that 41.8. Looking fairly close to the track map as well, between 13th and 14th. So that's Roccatella and Thomas Knoll again. Still half a second between them. But yeah, Thomas Knoll still trying to take advantage of that error we saw from Roccatello a lap or so ago. Lovely Italian colours on the Roccatello car as well there as they come in towards turn 1. I always find that a really, really tricky corner because you're aiming for the inside wall pretty much as you're turning in and just waiting for it to fall away once you go past the apex. And of course there's so many, like with many of the corners around this circuit, there's so many different lines that you can take around this circuit as well. It can be more of a job of trying to avoid the bumps around this place as much as anything else.
Yeah, and with that turn 1, you kind of want to get some understeer into the car. Of course, if you get too much grip, then you're just going to drive straight into the wall. You kind of want to aim close to the wall and then make sure that you carry enough speed into the corner that the car doesn't quite grip up, and you just want to get as close as possible to it all the way through, and then also protect the exit as well. But it's very easy to run out wide. Not the widest circuit in the world here, so quite easy to use beyond the limits of the track. And of course, very slippery on the outside on that grass. Thomas Knoll still getting closer and closer, as we were saying before. And Roccatello, another driver who was in the Formula Renault 3.5 series. So these two have got previous in this car. Roccatello
yeah, Thomas
actually...
Knoll, sorry, Sam. Thomas Knoll having a little bit of a sniff there on Roccatello, but ending up costing him quite a lot of time as we see the gearbox of Roccatello disappearing off down the road onto the back straight.
Yeah, I was just going to say how Roccatello improved a lot actually in that series. He started off quite a bit detached from the rest of the field. Thomas Knoll constantly kind of best of the rest type driver. Did win a few races that season actually. But Roccatello, really good to see how he's improved quite a bit. This the top split out of 2, of course. So he's clearly got a decent iRacing. His car number 18 though, it's Roccatello, so he is the lowest iRacing driver in this field, but no, he's doing a really good job. Good to see
leader.
him improve. As Dillman has had a spin onto the grass, is he going to maintain the lead? It was looking easy for him. He just set 2 consecutive fastest laps of the race, and he's just made it a whole lot more complicated for himself because he's only 0.6 of a second ahead now.
All right, so let's see where it went wrong. He's just pushing too hard, I'm guessing, as he's, like I say, banging in his fastest lap. So on the brake into the right-hander. Looks good, kind of entry on the exit, just loses the rear. Didn't look like he ran wide, didn't look like he touched the gravel. It just looked like he just got a little bit too heavy on the throttle pedal. So very uncharacteristic mistake there from Dillman. So that's going to make the end of the race a little bit more interesting, with Ilbrink now just 8 tenths behind, as you said. I think we had just a little bit of an issue, maybe just somewhere else a second ago as well, because I was seeing Fiorani just 3 or 4 tenths behind Moric a moment ago, but now that's dropped back to a little bit more. So he's under pressure now from Rob Bohr instead of pressurising Moric. So that's a shame for Fiorani. They looked like he was gradually chipping away at that gap very nicely. But we can see on the track map, top 5 cars now are all in the same little section of straight, all in the same camera shot there, in fact, as the camera pans back. And it's going to make for an interesting last 4 laps as Rob Ball really smelling an opportunity now to get that 4th position.
Yeah, Fiorini had a very slow lap last time round. He did a 43.98 when he's been mostly in the low 42s. So clearly made a quite a hefty mistake there for Fiorini. And it stopped him from maybe pressurising for a podium to driving back into the clutches of Ball, as you were saying previously, Lee, of course. And Ball looking very good. Also, Samborski catching up to these guys very quickly. Samborski, the second fastest driver on track that last time round. So Ball runs wide and getting almost kind of beached on the curb there. Once again, though, the driver ahead of Fiorini running wide as well. So they're both making quite a few mistakes, these two drivers. But Ball, if it weren't for that mistake, maybe could have got quite a bit closer. But you will have better chances, I imagine, towards the end of the races. And it gets lighter and lighter around this circuit. Still down this pit straight, of course, you can see the sun in the distance. But no, the visibility certainly getting better and better for these drivers.
Yeah, and so at the front, Dillman straight back into the 41s after that error a lap ago. Ilbrink did lose 4 tenths already just through that first lap. We can still see him hanging on to the back of Dillman, just over a second now behind. But as you say, it really looks for the top 5 cars that Rob Ball is the only opportunity really to make a move on Fiorani. But as you say, Sam Borski behind in 6th position, yeah, gaining those 5 spots from the start. He's looking like he's going to keep trying to chip away at that gap in front significantly quicker than those 2 cars ahead last time by. We can see on the track map at the minute, there's not really anything else going on. It's really these top 5 cars. There's a 17th and an 8th position looks a little bit confusing on track map because that looks like that could be a battle, but it is not. So yeah, I think the focus now is going to be on the top 5 for these remaining 3 laps.
Yeah, and that's where you want the battle to be. We'd rather it's the top 5 rather than the bottom 5 fighting for positions. Dillman up to 1.5 seconds now, the gap between the top 2. So, I mean, I'm not going to do the cliche of saying, well, that's the mark of a real life driver or anything, but he's not a bad driver, clearly, in the sim racing world. Of course, Paul Ilbrink, remember, you know, as we said earlier on, World Championship driver, so, I mean, he's got just as much experience, I imagine, as Dillman in this type of situation.
Yeah, we can see as well from the iRacings there that, say, Dillman, we know having all this real-world experience, but maybe his iRacing isn't quite showing that yet, as he's still gaining experience and gaining just races under his belt to prevail. And if Samuli is able to bring up the iRacing gain list as well, there we go, right on cue, we can see how much he's going to gain in this high strength of field race with a relatively average current iRating. So if he keeps chipping away in strong races with strong results like this, he's going to be right at the top of the iRacing charts in not too long at all.
I did not know that was an option on the overlay. I mean, that's pretty cool. Of course, check out the SDK gaming websites, and then you can have a similar overlay to this, along with you know, pit stuff. I'm surely you can do it much more.
I was going to say, you want me to do that instead, but yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go to the SDK Gaming, sdk-gaming.co.uk. There's a 14-day free trial, guys. You can get a timing screen for that. You can get exactly the same overlay that we're using in the broadcast here, and you can also display that overlay when you are driving, if you're in windowed mode in iRacing. So yeah, worth taking a look at for sure. Big news coming on the SDK Gaming front fairly soon, hopefully. We're going to keep trying to push that forward. As another person trying to push things forward is Rob Bohr, putting Fiorani under pressure now as they come into the final corner. Rob Bohr going to try and sweep around the outside. Can Fiorani keep the momentum on the inside? Rob Bohr overcooked it, nearly loses a rear on the big bump as well. And Fiorani does indeed hold on to that position, keeps that inside line nicely, and Rob Bohr has to try all over again.
Penultimate lap then. Also, not sure if anyone else...
Dillman, sorry Sam, Dillman having another little scruffy lap last time by, so Ilbrink has closed back up again to within half a second. So yeah, Ilbrink all of a sudden right back in the opportunity for snatching this race win away from Dillman. We can see, yeah, last time by 2 tenths gained for the Ilbrink, and he must have already gained more at the start of this lap as well. So yeah, Dillman just struggling now as we're coming towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I think Dillman picked up a slowdown earlier on in this lap. Just as we cut to him, he suddenly the gap suddenly went down from 1.2 seconds to about 4 tenths of a second, and that is what it's maintained. So opportunity for Ilbrink perhaps, and that's a decent run. Dillman struggling with the power delivery. How much is Ilbrink willing to put on the line here? Does he want this race win too bad? Of course, he's a World Championship driver, so he's not going to be irresponsible as Ilbrink, and certainly I've never seen him commit too many horrendous fouls on the circuit. But just dropping a little bit further back now, 7 tenths of a second. Actually, down this straight, Dillman's extending his lead, which is not something you'd expect. Of course, not too strong a slipstream effect from that distance back, but maybe that's the different setups with Ilbrink with a little bit more downforce. Certainly going to need to be a mistake, I think, from this point if Tom Dillman isn't going to win this race as we move on to the last lap.
Yeah, so it could well explain maybe the couple of little unforced errors from Dillman as well. Maybe he's running, as you say, a lower downforce or aggressive setup, and it's just much more on edge maybe than the cars behind. But yeah, onto the last lap now, as you say. Ilbrink still within a sniff of snatching an opportunity from Dillman if he makes a mistake. Otherwise, Rob Bohr back in 5th is still 7 tenths back from Fiorani, so I don't think there's going to be anything immediately going on there. So we're going to be continuing to watch the leaders here as we can see Moritz just stalking in the background in that 3rd place, ready to mop up any incidents that might be up ahead as well.
Yeah, he's kind of just been looming in the background. There's Louis Meyer for the last few laps. Did gain on the race leader a little bit on that last one, but he's not going to quite catch in time as a little bit.
Very different line that time by 4 at Ilbrink.
I don't. Do you have a preference with line? I tend to cut it a little bit. Do you open it up a little bit like Dillman, or do you cut that corner a bit more like Ilbrink?
That is a very good question. The short answer is I'm not sure. I think it depends a lot on the car, of course, as well, how much downforce the car that you're driving has got. But I'll just do whatever feels natural. And to be honest, I don't tend to think about those lines so much unless I see the time that I'm missing. But Dillman here coming round for the last corner, last time round. Dillman does indeed hold on to the line. Looked like it was an easy race for the first 3/4 of it, and then he all of a sudden made things a little bit more interesting at the end. Paul Ilbrink with a very, very consistent 2nd place, and Moritz picking up a 3rd position, bagging some decent points for the strength of field race with all his championship challenges missing from this one. So that'll be interesting to see how that shaped things up in the championship.
Yeah, will help his cause, no doubt. Not sure if there's any other high strength of field races, but I believe this is the highest. So will definitely help him, those extra few points. And of course, I mean, a consistency across the season going to be ever so important. You see that this is going to be a drop week for him. So big success for him there for car number 4. Just got the final few drivers to cross the line. Not really any mega close battles across the line. We've got Roccatelli and Knoll about to cross the line. They are only about 2 seconds between one another. So, and they were fighting over on. So not a big difference. Once again, it's that thing of there's kind of 2 tenths of a second between the fastest, or between a few of these drivers. But with them not making any mistakes, or very few mistakes at least, it's sometimes battles don't quite culminate. But still, it was good to see Alessandro and Thomas so close to one another on track earlier on. And I think everyone's crossed the line apart from Bonifacio.
And there we go, right on cue. There he goes, crosses the line, finishes up in that 15th position. So as you say, yeah, it was a good race. Like I say, not a real classic of the season so far, but as you said, it's such a tricky circuit that survival is the main name of the game. We certainly saw a few people who managed to make good opportunity of that. Paul Ilbrink gaining 5 spots, Kojanen gaining 5 spots, and Semborski gaining 5 spots in that race. So here are our official race results then. As we saw, Tom Dillman did hold on to that win. It looks a lot closer on the timing screen than it was for the majority of the race, pulling up to 8+ seconds halfway through. But yeah, finishing less than a second ahead of Paul Ilbrink, highest iRacing driver in the session, in second position. Lubomir Moric then finished in that strong third position. Francesco Fioroni did well coming through the field towards the end to finish in fourth. Rob Bohr in fifth with Edward Samborski in sixth. Fabian Siegman in seventh with Omar Baha in eighth. Tony Kajanin in ninth with Ronaldo Augusto in 10th. Victor Morgan in 11th with Daniel Berenson in 12th. Alessandro Roccatello in 13th with Thomas Knoll in 14th. Rafael Bonifacio was the last of the cars on the lead lap and the last of the runners, I believe. That left us with Stefan Herman, Jerry Colgren and Erka Lindström, all who did not finish. So, so as I say, so good race. So tricky place round Sebring for these little, light single-seaters. We saw mistakes from the very best of drivers out there with Dillman making those couple of errors. But otherwise, as I say, a strong showing for everybody for the whole race. We have got a driver waiting in the interview area this week. So fortunately, unlike last week, everybody hasn't abandoned us. So if you're not seen it already, then the link for Discord is in the YouTube chat. So feel free to jump in for a talk whilst we have a good sort of 15 minutes or so left of the broadcast. Good evening, Paul. Welcome to the commentary booth. Congratulations on your second position. I bet you weren't expecting to have a sniff at the victory at the end there.
Not really. Thanks for second position. Congrats. That was a nice race. Quite interesting, but I made a little mistake earlier on, which put me under pressure from Lubomir again. So maybe if I didn't do that, maybe I would have been closer to Tom to try something. But he was so fast on the straights as well. So it was really waiting for more mistakes for him. For me to really have a chance, I think.
Yeah, we were looking at that towards the end and guessing maybe that was part of the reason why maybe Dillman was struggling with a couple of errors towards the end. Maybe his setup, do you think, is much more aggressive, much more on edge with the low downforce?
I think so. I think he just on the straights, I could see him running away a bit, and I think lap times are quite similar, but it's difficult to overtake somewhere else than on the straights. So. Yeah, maybe he struggled with the car like he drove it, but it was good enough to get a big gap in the beginning anyway, so he was the quicker person anyway. So.
And we didn't quite see you in qualifying itself, but obviously you didn't have the best of qualifying sessions. Did you have an issue in there?
On my first time lap, entering the back straight, I opened the DRS a bit too early, so I put the car on the wall. So I had time enough for the second lap, but there's a bit of pressure that you really can't make a mistake on that one. So was a bit struggling on that lap. So I was just happy that I got the time in to not be completely at the back of the field. So it wasn't too bad because overtaking was pretty easy, except for Tom then. But for the rest of the field, it worked quite well, I think. So.
Okay, great. Well, I'd say it was certainly a good few overtakes in there to come through the field and gain those 5 spots from your grid. Obviously, you're representing Radicals Online. How are you getting on in your other endeavours this season? Paul, you'll have to remind me as to which, I presume you are competing in VRS World Championship?
No, I'm not. I've been just doing some leagues for fun after F1 series stopped last year. So. And just doing a one-off World Tour events sometimes, but just taking it a bit easy this time.
And so what have you thought watching the Porsche Sports Super Cup this season? Are you feeling like you're regretting not taking up your spot in that season, or it's just not your cup of tea?
Well, I didn't qualify for it. I just missed it by 1 or 2 positions, I think, last year.
Feels bad,
so, but when watching, I'm not regretting too much for not being in there because it looks quite a mess. And to be honest, those kind of cars aren't really my strong point anyway. So I'll just watch it from the sidelines and see the crashes happen and just being happy I'm not in there. So yeah.
Well, and fingers crossed that top-level single-seater racing will be coming back to iRacing in a not too distant future. I think it's sorely missed from a lot of camps. So fingers crossed that we can get that back in soon enough. Right, you
we
would
can
like to
always
do?
dream.
Yeah, sorry, Paul. Go on.
Yeah, we can always dream about that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's gonna happen at some point, but in what car, who knows? Right, would you like to do your roll call of your sponsors and your team, Paul?
Thank everybody at Radicals Online and our partners and sponsors: Grandfield Simulation, Joel Real Timing, Arma Center, Azar, MotoF Podcast, Turn Racing, Immortal, Six Sideways, and Pixel Dust for doing our skin.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you in future weeks in this nice Formula 3.5 championship. These are great cars to be running a season in, right?
Yeah, it's quite challenging. Reminds me a bit again of the old days of the Williams F1. So if there's good combinations, I'll be back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Suzuka next week, so surely you're going to be competing there. We should see you next Saturday, I would imagine.
Yeah, I hope, if I'm not asleep after F1.
Sure.
But, yeah.
All right. Excellent. Cheers, Paul. We shall speak to you again next time.
All right. Yeah.
Bye. Okay, great. So seeing the action that Paul has been involved in at the start of the race through that interview as well, looked like it was fairly busy for him coming through the field, but yeah, managed to survive pretty comfortably in the end there, Sam. I say great to see one of the what's the word I'm looking for? It's disappeared. One of the champions, one of the fathers almost of iRacing, veteran. We got there. You knew. At least somebody knew what I was trying to get to. Great to see a veteran of iRacing running in this series, Sam.
Yeah, definitely, and it's quite interesting with iRacing how we constantly see these names that we may have seen, a year ago, several years ago, in different championships popping up, and kind of get to know a few of the drivers quite well. Popping up here and then. Yeah, it's great to see such an accomplished driver like Paul taking parts in this, and of course Tom Dillman as well. Real life driver. So that's pretty cool, and I don't think you get that in any other esports other than iRacing, where you got such a mix of people around. And of course next week, Suzuka, which will be awesome. One of the best tracks in the world. I wonder why it's Suzuka. I wonder if there's some kind of event going on the same weekend by any chance. Also, very early start for Suzuka. So I guess they have the same. Yeah, they have the same summer and winter as us, don't they? So the sun will be setting at similar time. Or am I being No,
they're Northern Hemisphere. So yeah.
Yeah, they're similar kind of latitude to us, aren't they? So 5:59 in the morning, which seems awfully dark, I must say. So that will be interesting. Just a reference, 7:22 was the start time today, so it'll be quite dark for that event at Suzuka. But still, will be nice and cool. So that slick Japanese tarmac won't be making quite a big difference. But that'll be awesome. Like I said, one of the best tracks in the world. Great flow, and I think we could see a bit of an upturn in participation there, because everyone will want to have a piece of that track.
Yeah, I should certainly hope so. As you say, I think it's a perfect circuit for single seaters as well, isn't it? It really does fit that high downforce car very nicely indeed. So look forward to seeing that. And to be honest, it's a pretty good season all round. You scan through the schedule that the guys have organised for the season. So many Grand Prix tracks in there. Monza, we've already been to. Catalonia, Silverstone, Suzuka next week, as we said. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in a couple of weeks. Cota after that. Interlagos a couple of weeks after that. It just keeps going with the Grand Prix tracks, and lots of the classic ones in there as well. Cota, take or leave it a little bit more, but otherwise a very, very nice looking schedule indeed. Right, so we shall. Sorry, Sam, go for it.
Well, I was just going to agree with you, and so I'm seeing Phillip Island there, a good Australian circuit. Hopefully we'll have some more Australian circuits at some point. That's very wishful thinking, but of course the V8 still, and hopefully we'll have Sandown Raceway, for example. That would be awesome in these cars. If anyone saw the F3000 race in Australia the other day round Sandown, that was great. So that would be very similar to this. So we can dream. That's a bit far-fetched. But certainly the calendar this season looking very good anyway.
Yeah, it's I'd say there's certainly some opportunities to get more in. It's just when are they going to slot in? There's so many circuits around the world that people would like to see. It's difficult to slot them all in, isn't it? But yeah, great. So yes, that's going to be wrapping up our broadcast for the evening. As I said, we'll be back next week for Suzuka for more iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. If you've enjoyed our coverage today, please do subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch, and follow our Facebook page as well. We mentioned SDK Gaming a little while ago, so again, if you're interested in having a look at live streaming yourself and using an overlay exactly like we've been using, then sdk-gaming.co.uk for a 14-day free trial. And coming up for the rest of the week on Apex Racing TV, tomorrow, Sunday, we've got the Aussie Mixed and Fixed AMF series. That is a real fun one for the guys. It's moved a little bit earlier this week with the Australian time zones changing, so that's going to be 9:45 GMT tomorrow. Then on Monday, we're going to have a World GT Championship running at its usual slot at 8:10 British summertime, UK time. Rikmatech then Monday night, Tuesday morning. IMSA on Tuesday morning. BSR MX5 Tuesday evening. Sim Racers World on Wednesday evening. ARLTCR are not on a week off, that one. So yeah, they will be back on Thursday evening. Week off was this week. And then back to the IndyCars on the following Friday. So yeah, full race week ahead. Some of those, by the way, are on Apex Racing TV's YouTube channel, and some are on the iRacing Esports Network. So check out our schedule. That I believe actually came up in the YouTube chat a little bit earlier on. So we shall see everybody next week. Thank you very much, Sam Fitzpatrick, for joining me in the commentary booth. Samuli Kumo for working on the cameras, and we look forward to seeing you at Suzuka.